Welcome everyone to another edition of Dun & Bradstreet CFO Club. We are very fortunate to have with us today Mr. Mukesh Surana, CFO Garhwade Technical Fibers Limited. Welcome Mukesh.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Naina.
I think the first question I will start with, you have a very interesting journey. You have worked with, several companies across a lot of global roles. Tell us a little bit about your journey, Mukesh. Let's start from there.
Yeah, so I would say, my journey so far has been good with all-round learning experience. And, I post my CA and my industrial training in Indian Oil Corporation started with SRF. And, I was fortunate to handle demerger of SRF to SRF Polymers Limited and also handled, complete migration of systems, account processes, complete setup of, business units finance for SRF Polymers Limited, and then moved into Asian Paints. That has been about a little longer stint, where started with internal audit, and in internal audit also, started certain new initiatives of centralized organization of Asian Paints, identified cost optimization areas, risk management and mitigation areas, process improvement areas, and then moved into international BU, and eventually took up international BU finance head role in Asian Paints, where we were having 18 manufacturing locations across the world and 23 subsidiaries across the world. There again, there was an all-round experience starting from strategy, business planning, M&A, investments, divestments, and organic growth, capex investments. In addition to, of course, the core role of MIS, IFRS consolidations, and I was also custodian of group policies and procedure for all the subsidiaries. We have also implemented ERP for all overseas subsidiaries. There were quite a few legacy systems we have migrated into ERP, and then we are doing IFRS consolidation in India. So lot such learning experience in Asian Paints, and then moved out of India for one of the large commodity supply chain company, Olam International. I was in South Africa about a year, and that there also was a good learning experience. I was there as a director and CFO of the subsidiary in South Africa, two of their subsidiaries in South Africa, and there, in addition to supply chain commodities, we were also doing packing business and selling to modern trade in South Africa. That was in way back in 2008, and then moved back to India for a few personal reasons, and then was with the Noble Group for few years. It is a Fortune 500 company listed in Singapore, Hong Kong based, Hong Kong headquarters. There I was heading the India finance operations, and was taking care of risk management, financial control, MS, forex, commodities, all of that, and also legal and compliances matters. So it has been quite good experience, and then another long stint with Kalpataru Power Transmission as well, where into strategic finance and corporate finance, and then eventually taking up a operational role for their domestic and SAARC countries, and also taking care of their three manufacturing plants, and that was also about a good stint over there. And then overseas opportunities, moved to export trading group, and in Dubai I was there for a couple of years. That was about $3.5 4 billion turnover company, and in 1.5 2 years there also, we have improved the system in terms of implementing SAP over there, and making sure there are robust planning and budgeting system over there. So it was a high growth company, which was $1 billion to $3.5 billion growth happened in a couple of years, and it was necessary to put a lot of systems and processes over there. So I was trying to put those, and we also have done few M&A there. We have sold our minority stake to Mitsui of Export Trading Group, and we have also carved out one of the unit agriculture inputs as well as fertilizer unit, and sold a minority stake to South Africa Pension Fund as a private equity. So these
Okay.
were certain experiences, which helped me. And now I'm back to Garware Technical Fibers for last 3 years, being a CFO of a listed company. And this company also is a market leader in the segments where we are globally as well as in domestic. We are into various applications of technical textiles, primarily the knitting, twine, and rope side. So application starts from aquaculture cages, fish nets, sports nets, and geosynthetic textiles, industrial ropes. So there are multiple applications. We have almost 20,000 plus SKUs. So
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 I
here,
see the in the long journey that you spoke about, there's so much, you have done, so much in M&A, so much in risk. But one thing which stands out that, you have done a lot of technological implementation, in the finance as a function.
yeah.
So if I ask you that, did you manage to marry technology and risk together in any of the process that you've done? I mean, is that possible? Like technology can mitigate risk in the finance function?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, IT is one of the tool which really helps you, in putting, controls as well as risk mitigations, and also it helps you to, efficiently run the business. So, all kinds of IT tools, is helpful, whether it is ERP or whether it is, the various kinds of dashboards which we have developed in the current company, Tableau, business intelligence tools we have. And we also have sales excellence and mobile applications. We also have dealer management software. So a lot of such things, which is quite integrated, and we are gaining good amount of meaningful data out of it, and it is really helping the business. And also wherever required, there are checks and balances, and there are internal controls, and wherever necessary we have risk mitigations around. So risk mitigation including information security. So we have ISO 27001 certified. We have GDPR of Europe also. We have got the requirements of customers, ensure that we deal with customers in Europe, and there are regulations about data protections over there. So we have implemented all of that. So we have appointed quite a good IT firms to take care of that, be it Tech Mahindra, be it Deloitte, all good firms who
Understood.
are working together with us in improving these processes.
So since you spoke about a lot of data and ensuring that good data comes, so how do you master your data? How do you optimize the right data? I mean, what are the systems or how are the process followed in your company?
So there are a lot of data points, and the largest one is of course the database which comes out of SAP, and which is of course one of the key important database and ERP. And we also have dashboards and business intelligence tools like Tableau. And we also have, as I was telling, sales excellence and mobile applications. We also have dealer management software for our dealers and their sales and their secondary sales. So there are quite a good amount of integrations of all these systems.
So do you see, I mean, the system integration, I mean, did you see a lot of that happening in last 1 year in 2020? Because when we were pushed to work a lot from home and a lot remote, or is that been like a plan which has been, implemented before only?
It has been there. We have been trying to improve every year. We always have 3 to 4 major initiatives running in a year on the IT side. So whether it is pandemic or before pandemic, we have always been working on that. And during the pandemic, of course, it showed the result. People were really not able to travel, and a lot of things, when you are able to access it remotely, and you can see the data as well as you can talk to customers remotely.
Correct.
Those are the things which has really helped. But
So,
in pandemic period also, we have developed a lot and done a lot of initiatives, and we are planning the next year as well.
very nice. Mukesh, interesting thing in your portfolio along with finance and risk. is procurement also, right? So
Yeah.
you undertake procurement. So how do you assess your, in your procurement process, or how do you assess your vendors or your third party? What are the process that you manage, in that aspect?
So we do have a lot of SOPs defined for that, and we have vendor evaluation process, and we have multiple procurements. So there are a lot of procurement which are price based, and there are OEM who supplies it, and there are a lot of vendors who we also have developed over the period, where we have our own specifications, and there are vendors who are also supplying the commodities, whether it is coal or such commodities. So all such vendors are there, wherever we, it's largely a commodity base, we have a pool of closer to a 10 to a dozen vendors, where we ask them to participate in e-auction, and then we allot the uh, you
So
know
is there
uh,
any specific due diligence process that you follow while onboarding someone?
Yeah, of course. There are checklists for it, and we also see, their credentials, their past performance. So any new vendor, whenever we add it, there are SOP for it, and whether what are their track record in terms of delivery and in terms of their performance, and we also interact with them in terms of their service to their clients, how it has been, their financials, their credentials, and we also try to take the guarantees, performance guarantees, and bank guarantees. So
Understood. Now I'll come to, Garhwal Technical Fibers' phenomenal growth in 2020, where, a lot of people in the industry suffered. You guys have given a great result. So, what is the success? What is the story behind the success?
yeah, so we are fortunately indirectly catering to the food industry. So 60% of our business is with respect to the food. So the demand has continued in the pandemic period also. So people were not going out and taking food in the restaurant, but they were eating at home. So that really helped globally. So, and in international segment, we continue to do well on our export business, and having continuously strong double-digit growth quarter. And in domestic front also, last 2 3 years it was stagnant, and this year again the third quarter we have done 15% growth in the domestic front as well.
So, I mean, that is probably, with the growth, now the company is a, net debt-free company. So, how has been that journey?
Yeah, so the current year, of course, we have done quite a lot of activities to ensure that we are in a pandemic period reserving the cash. Starting from the first day of the lockdown, we were conscious of conserving the cash, and on the cost optimization side, as well as on the collection of receivables. And fortunately, we have not seen any bad debt, and all our receivables were quality receivables. All our customers are having a long relationship with us. Our brand and our products also speaks for it, and so that has been a conscious effort to reduce the receivable cycle, reduce the inventory cycle, do a lot of export factoring for our accounts receivables overseas. So these are the steps we have taken, and we also have through our sales and operating procedures, and also which we call it as SNOP, and also we have a lot of supply chain initiatives which has helped in managing the inventory at a lean level. So a lot of such steps have been taken, so that really helped in improving the cash flow in the current year. And the current year we have significantly cash surplus, and we have been net debt free.
So, now you have cash surplus and, you're net debt free. So, what is the outlook for next year, and how are you trying to deploy that cash? And, what are the things that you're going to do to make sure that, your stakeholders are happy and they get a
Sure.
good share of the profit?
Yeah, so last 2 years we have consciously done that. Last year we have declared a good amount of special dividend, and this year we have done a buyback of the shares. So some of the surplus cash which we have realized in last 2 years, we have really ensured that we give back to the shareholders. So that something we have already taken care. And going forward also we will have continuously surplus cash, and we are in the lookout of M&A opportunities also, and there are organic growth and capex requirements also. So we will be ensuring that the capital is deployed appropriately, which will.
So you're looking at both organic as well as inorganic growth at this
Yeah,
point of
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Sure, sure. If I ask you, it has been a very good journey, and 2020 is very good. 2021 is looking very promising. So, what has been the three or four key learnings that you would like to share with our viewers that that really helped you to achieve that?
Yeah, I would say a couple of key learnings during the pandemic is, of course, managing the crisis in a VUCA time of where everything is uncertain and vulnerable, and you don't have a clarity. Uh, you know, Keeping a focus on, and having a dedicated team efforts for every small steps. You try to work out a lot of options, alternative options. So focus, working out alternative options to make it happen. And third, I would say continuous and unstoppable rigor. So these are the three probably I would say skills one has to deploy to really ensure that one can manage this crisis better. Team efforts, focused efforts, finding out alternative solutions, and be focused and have the rigor continuously.
So, Mukesh, it's been 1 year, and we are definitely not out of the pandemic at all. So, how do you see the export business doing for you? I mean, do you see any changes? Is there any strategy on the export business or vis-a-vis the domestic business?
Yeah, I would say we are fortunate enough. We have been doing both export as well as domestic quite well. And last 2 quarters, second and third quarters, we have seen a phenomenal growth. And we are seeing that the kind of growth would we sustain. We would sustain. So this year also should be a on the similar growth trajectory. So in the past, during the rebranding exercise, we have said that we are seeing a growth trajectory of doubling the profit in the 5 to 7 years window. So we are largely on that track.
Right. And with the new cases coming up, the states are doing, I mean, every day we are hearing the spike is there. So has there been any kind of, any kind of plan that you guys have put in place that in case, manufacturing unit has to come up with less number of people, or if the manufacturing goes a little down, is there any crisis management plan that you have put in place? What
Yeah,
are the
I would say we have really learned it in hard way in the first phase itself when the lockdown has happened. If at all, if in the second wave there is any lockdown, we have good amount of learning to manage that kind of a crisis. In fact, every day we were having a crisis management team meeting, steered by our CMD himself with all our key apex members of the organizations. So we were driving it every day. We were also discussing the smallest of the things during those days. Whether can we get truck, whether we can get containers, whether we can get drivers to drive it. So those were the difficult days. We have learned it, how to manage it. Of course, it was difficult, and one has to really work hard, remotely, and also wherever necessary, go and do things. On the front line as well. So we have managed it, and I think that learning will definitely help even if there is any limited lockdown, which, if at all, if it comes.
Thank you so much, Mukesh. It's been really a pleasure talking to you. And I'm sure, our viewers will get a lot of insights of, how did you manage the company, and, how ensure that the growth is, phenomenal. All the best, and, wish you all the success.
Thank you so much. It was really pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.